So before this one, I did another film called Blame It on Fidel. And it was, although it was from an Italian book, it was a very personal and very autobiographical story. And sometimes it was a bit, you know, emotional to present it and to talk about it, because you talk about your life. So I thought I should do something very different. And I love romantic comedies, and I thought I should do a romantic comedy. And then I started watching a lot of them. And after watching something like 10, 20, I thought, people are always 25, 30 years old in these stories, and it doesn't belong, it's not like what the real world is. In Europe, people are growing old. And so I thought, what happens if instead of being 25 or 30, they're 60-year-old? And that's how it started.
More easy to make the first film or the second film?
I think it's harder to do the second film because there's Isabella Rossellini and William Hurt on the film. Everybody thinks this must have been an easy film to make, but it was not. It was really difficult to find the money, because it talks about, although it's a comedy, it talks about aging, it talks about death. And these actors are well known to people who know cinema, but to financiers who finance the film business in Europe, they're young people coming from commercial studies, so they don't know anything about these actors. So I think it's harder to do the second one. The money was complicated, and we shot it. We had to shoot in very little time. We shot it in 30 days. And we had, but I was lucky because we had 2 weeks rehearsal before. That was very useful. No, it's not helping. Maybe it helped more for Blame It on Fidel, because people could see a relation between my father and Blame It on Fidel and the fact that it talked about politics. But here people said, but it's a comedy, it's a light story, you know, people don't see the relation. Only to me, obviously, there is a relation. So for this film, it was maybe less useful to be my father's daughter. Yes, because I decided I'm going to do a romantic comedy, and I'm going to put characters who are 60-year-old. But when you put people who are going to be 60, they have a whole life, they have a family. And because I had a blank page, I had no book to start from, I thought, you know, let's start with something I already know, which is my family. So the family in Late Bloomers is structured like my family, which means there's this father who's a very important architect in the film, who's put on his pedestal, this mother who takes care of everyone. She's Italian in the film, so she's really a mater familias. She's really the one taking care, and the kids. And the way the kids are ordered is the way we are ordered with my brothers and me.
How was working with Isabella Rossellini and William Hurt?
So as I was telling you, we've had 2 weeks rehearsal. So obviously at first I was very afraid, because in my first film there were only kids. So kids are difficult in a way, but easy in another way. And you know, William and Isabella, it's just the 2 weeks rehearsal were really useful to get to learn each other, to build a story, the story of this couple and the story of their family. The 2 weeks rehearsal helped. And after that, I wasn't afraid anymore.
Yes.
I don't know, because my friends tell me Isabella's character looks a lot like me. I'm 20 years younger, but I'm sure I'll do the same thing when I'll be 60. Like, I think it's we're talking about age in Late Bloomers, but I think it's what women do often in a couple. They see ahead, because they have the kids, because they have to take care of the family. They have this way of trying to prepare the future, which is less the case for the husband. So I think I'll be a lot like Mary's character in the film when I'll turn 60. Yeah, it's good. It's funny that they say that because it just came like this. No, it's just that I first talked about a little girl, then I talked about a woman who's 60, and now in what will maybe be the next film, the character is my age, he's 40. So yes, I thought that would be a nice way of closing, and it's a woman again, so yes. No, because it'll be different. But because the main characters are so women, always women, even if the story is very different. One day somebody was asking me if I did a thriller, would I put something of myself in it? And of course I will. I will use some aspects of myself or of friends to build the characters. You mean in politics in general? No, the only thing I have to do, but also because it's the subject of my next script, economical Europe, a real strong political Europe, which doesn't exist yet.
Do you know about the Brazilian cinema?
I know what we have in France. I know the films that are distributed in France, which is something like one a year, more or less. No, one a year, two a year. So no, I don't know Brazilian cinema. No, when I start writing the subject, whatever subject it is, may it be for Blame It on Fidel or for Late Bloomers, or now for my next project about Europe, the Chocolate War. But it's just for a moment. It's the title for the moment.
But it's really good.
Yes.
Yes. I like the name.
And before I start writing, I always take 4 or 5 months of documentation. So for Fidel, I read every book I could read about Chile and about France in the 70s. I would watch old TV shows or old films during Fidel. I watched all the Claude Sauté because they all took place in the 70s. For Late Bloomers, I read all the books about the baby boomers. I watched all the films about people getting old. There's a nice film called, in French it's called The House on the Lake, with Henry Fonda and Katharine Hepburn. It's 2 old people living in their country house. And I noticed for Late Bloomers, it's always dramas. It's always sad stories about getting old. That's why I also wanted to do a happy one. And now for the Chocolate War, I've been spending a lot of time in Brussels to understand how it works. I started taking lessons in European institution in last January, but not every month. So now I think I mastered the European institutions. I just have to find a story now.
How much?
The movie was €2.5 million. So that's a middle film, middle down film, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.